Welcome to My Watches with Ben. If you're interested in military watches, you've come to the right place. G-Shock, Timex, Sunto, Garmins, Seiko, Marathon, Luminox. The best options for military use and the worst options. They're all here. I will present to you my analysis of 228 specific watches from 104 brands. This will conclude with a list of the top 10 watches for military use out of all the watches available on the market today. And this analysis is not just surface level. I rate them by factoring in every conceivable, quantifiable element. Size, weight, thickness, features, crystal, display, strap, illumination, movement, on and on and on. So many elements are considered here. And I even include subjective elements as well. And this is more of a utility-focused approach. So I've seen other military watch videos where it's like, oh, guys just like the aesthetic of the Tudor, and so that's why this is the best military watch. No. Aesthetics is like one small element of my analysis. And this whole exercise is way too big for just one video. I learned that the hard way. So today will just be the ones that are under $155. You know, the Casio DW5600, the Loris Lumibright, Bowdary Voyager, the Timex Ironman, the G-Shock G9000, Skmei, Bertucci, Nixon, Northedge, Alba. Even Fitbit is in here. Will Fitbit win the prize as best military watch? No, it won't. No, it won't. But after this video, there'll be a couple other price ranges videos, and then there will be one focused just on watches that you guys identified that I missed. You know, say I missed some obscure Casio watch, let me know. And at the end, I will have a Runoff video where I pit all the best watches against each other in a final showdown, including those ones that you let me know. If I miss any. Yeah, military watches are really rugged, inexpensive, primarily digital watches with a lot of features on them like timers, alarms, dual time, even altimeter, barometer, compass watches. There are also some basic analog watches that are used in modern militaries, like the Marathon GPQ. And what's that other one? The Cabot Watch Company, the CWC G10, that's another example that's used in modern militaries. The question I will answer is, what is the best watch for military use? So if you're looking for fitness or hiking, a lot of the watches in this video are going to be suitable for that too, but my focus today is on military. There are timestamps for the different segments in the video, so if you only have 15 minutes and you just want the top 5 lists, please skip ahead now using the timestamps in the description. Or you can skip to the watches if you don't want to hear all this backstory and stuff, but I suggest you watch the whole thing. So I'm going to have backstory, philosophy, the methodology I used, and then I'll get into the watches. First I'll do the watch rank 6 through 75. There's only 75 watches in this particular video. And then I'll conclude with the top 5. But you can skip there now if you really just want the top 5. And now for the backstory. I made this video series to flesh out the field watch universe. A lot of different watches can be called field watches. You've got the traditional style field watches that are supposed to be really simple. I call that traditional. You know, CWC G10 is a good example of that. And then you have go anywhere, do anything field watches like the Rolex Explorer. They're meant to be worn at all occasions, like to weddings and stuff. Gotta. And then the subject for today, you have field watches that are intended to be maximally useful in hostile environments such as military deployment and even hiking or construction or fitness. I don't think the watches are necessarily always designed for military use, but that will be my focus. So why did I perform this analysis of military watches? Well, everyone just says the best military watch is the G-Shock. Pretty much everyone I've heard has said that. In fact, when service members have been polled about their wristwatch of choice, the most commonly worn watches in the US military are all G-Shocks. 5600, the 6900, the G9000, with an occasional Timex or Sunto or Garmin thrown in there. But it's typically G-Shock that they're interested in. I know they issue marathons and stuff to the soldiers, but when they get to choose, it's usually a G-Shock. So I wanted to objectively evaluate the features and specifications of all the watches on the market, find out if there are any sleepers, or if any of the really popular watches were overrated. And I found out yes to both questions. Yes, They're sleepers you haven't heard of that would be really excellent for military use. But I don't think they're on anyone's radar. And then two, conversely, there are some very popular watches that really don't stack up to the competition very well. And this includes some watches that militaries issue to their soldiers. They're just not the best, in my opinion. So in this video, you'll definitely see some hot takes from me. In this video, I will rate watches you've heard of, like the Casio G-Shock DW5600, Timex Ironman, G-Shock GW6900, Suunto Core, Seiko Arnie, Garmin Instinct, Marathon GPQ, Luminox Leatherback, as well as ones you probably haven't heard of, such as the KHS Inceptor Digital, Nixon Regulus, the Prevail Onward, the Momentum Smoke Jumper, the Night Hawk, Sengen Overlord, and tons more. I plan to release the 4 or 5 videos once a week. We'll see if I can do that, with the final runoff and top 10 coming out around August 21st. I don't know. I don't want to stick to the timeline too rigidly because I want to do a good job with these, and I don't want to stress myself out too much, but if I can keep to the weekly release, I will. Today is just the entry level modern military field watches. Those priced under $155. The next price range in the series is going to be the mid-tier watches, and we'll be starting to get some GPS ones. I'll get into why GPS is not even necessarily that great for military use later. But yeah, you'll have Bertucci, you'll have more G-Shocks. There's always G-Shocks pretty much. KHS Reaper is looking good. That darn Marathon, it'll be in here. You can see it didn't score well. It's spilled the beans already. That was mid-tier. And then top tier is going to be the really fancy. There's going to be some smartwatches. There's also going to be just like some fancy ones. You've got the Breitling Emergency. That Tudor Pelagos will be in here. I'll tell you how it does. Rolex Submariner. Wow, I gave away the game so early. These scores up here. This ball is so cool, this EOD. If you don't see your favorite military watch under $150 in the video, if you disagree with my take, please let me know in the comments. As I said earlier, before the final runoff occurs, I'm going to include a short video with all the ones I missed that you guys identify. And if there are really good ones in that one, they'll be included in the final runoff. And in the last video series I did, one of the omissions actually ended up in the final top 10. So they do have a chance to be in the final top 10 if I missed them. It's definitely a really valuable service you viewers can provide. So I liked how that worked in the last one. I'll do it again. All right, let's go on to the military field watch philosophy. Okay, so the use case of the military watch, it's not all that complicated. It's just one with high durability, accuracy, low weight, low profile. As I mentioned earlier, G-Shocks, Timex, Garmins, Suuntos are very popular in modern military service. And there's several reasons why. They're inexpensive, reliable, they have quartz accuracy, quartz robustness, there's no moving parts on a digital watch. They're immune to magnetism, especially compared to analogs and automatic watches. They're lightweight, they look really cool. You know, that's a subjective thing, whether you think it looks cool or not. I think they look cool. They're packed with useful features like stopwatch, timer, alarms, sometimes even ABC. They're easy to read, and they're not as reflective as bare steel watches. Now this green watch, G-Shocks are typically less reflective. This is not a G-Shock, but I could see the idea. Less reflective than a traditional steel watch. Supposedly, I've heard this, Watches of Espionage has made this point, that some soldiers and special operators are watch geeks, and they may prefer analog. And, you know, there's a status symbol too. You know, if you make it up really high in the ranks and stuff, you may want a Rolex, I guess. And you want to wear that. Yeah, and some guys just prefer analog. Supposedly, everything in the Army is analog. I've seen pictures of operators with Seiko dive watches and Rolex and Omega. The Watches of Espionage channel that I mentioned highlights all sorts of watches that don't perform well on my scoring system. And if you're a super cool guy, maybe you don't want the best tool. Maybe you just want to look cool. Or hey, maybe you want to blend in or something. You don't want a watch that screams, I'm a military guy. But this video today is for the guy looking for the best tool for the job. And there are some more subdued, less tactical options that are viable. You know, unlike Panerais and Rolexes and Omegas. There's some more subdued options that are really solid. In this video, I included a good number of watches like that. I mean, my scoring system's not too forgiving of analog automatic watches because you lose a ton of ruggedness, you lose accuracy, and you don't have the features of the digital watches. And you're also going to pay a lot more. So some people are willing to make those trade-offs. But I think it's pretty clear, like a more reliable, less expensive watch is better than a more expensive, less reliable watch. And before I get too far, I have to mention an important caveat about this video. Originally, I was planning to completely exclude any watch with GPS functionality from the video entirely, because the Department of Defense prohibits devices from having geolocation function active for service members in operational areas. Yeah, it's not safe. However, I learned that most of these GPS-enabled watches also give you... I haven't found a single one that you're not able to turn off the GPS functionality. So I decided to include them. You can just turn that off if you don't want to use it. Maybe you're on leave and you want to hike a mountain and that GPS is nice to have. So I do think it's cool to have it, and you can just turn the darn thing off. So, however, after I added a bunch of those GPS watches in, I learned from watches of espionage and other sources that GPS can be problematic even outside of operational areas, presenting a gray zone vulnerability. Military officials have been attacked in civilian areas when foreign adversaries have used fitness apps to monitor their movements and locations, and then attack when they're most vulnerable. Watches of espionage identified in June 2023, very recently, a Russian commander was shot on a jog because he was using Strava. He uploaded routes from his Garmin Phoenix 6, and so he was able to be targeted. And then in 2017, so this is a while ago, an independent research firm, Bellingcat, pinpointed sensitive US government installations overseas by analyzing anonymous data that was not linked to specific users. But they were able to aggregate this data, and they were able to find sensitive US locations because of this. Their analysis actually revealed the homes of British SAS personnel as well. Presumably this is because they saw them at the government installations and then saw when they go home exactly where they live. GPS is definitely a huge safety concern, and DoD released that memo prohibiting personnel from using GPS in operational areas. Might not be even that great an idea to use it in the city. CIA officers, special operators, and others in sensitive national security positions need to be aware of the counterintelligence vulnerabilities of smartwatches. If hostile foreign actors would like to surveil you, you should not have a smartwatch. If that applies to you, you probably shouldn't have a smartwatch at all, even outside of operational areas. So if that's you, probably just focus your attention on more the digital dumb watches that don't have microphones and tracking, and analog watches that really don't even have any circuits or anything. They're just analog. Most of the watches in this video series are dumb watches. I know that a lot of you watching this video are not in sensitive national security positions, and perhaps you're just looking for a good hiking watch. So I kept the smartwatches in, so you can see how they stack up against each other, and in my opinion, how they stack up against the dumb watches. GPS watches are included, but since it's military focused, the GPS feature only provides a slight bonus. It's actually only 2 points. And in the final runoff, I will reverse that as well. So more is not always better. The KISS principle applies. Keep it simple, stupid. Bluetooth connected GPS enabled smartwatches are great until you don't have power for a few days. That's another issue. Because most of these you have to charge them by plugging them in. You have to charge them every day or two. And that's really not ideal. And as I mentioned, GPS comes with significant vulnerability to monitoring by foreign intelligence. Even watches that have a SIM card and connect to a cellular network are not great either. So you could presumably turn off the GPS, then your fancy Apple Watch is still connecting the cellular towers. For example, Russia has been able to identify Ukrainian positions by monitoring signals from their cellular devices. They have a habit of putting on airplane mode on their cell phones because they can be pinpointed by the Russians just by having cell phones. And this is an oddball theory, but even watches with atomic timekeeping like this one here, they could actually be jammed because they receive radio signals that regulate their timekeeping. That last theory is unconfirmed, and even if it was jammed, it would still work. It still just has a quartz movement inside. It just wouldn't be quite as accurate, but it would still work. That last theory is totally unconfirmed, but it's something to consider, I guess. All that is to say that perhaps the basic DW5600 really is the best way to go for military use. One other anecdote while we're in the philosophy section. According to one of my buddies, Army Reserve, who's interacted with Navy and Air Force, sometimes when he's had to be on a Navy ship, they would give him a G-Shock instead of his metal case watch. And this had something to do with sparks. I think this is because steel case watches can hold on to more static electricity, which could be hazardous around equipment with flammable fumes coming off them. I also read that a plastic watch could also be superior if you're working with electricity. Like this one has a plastic case back. Still has 100 meters water resistance. Is this steel? I'm not 100% sure. Some watches do have a plastic case back. That's pretty rare, actually. A full steel watch is going to conduct electricity a lot worse, especially if you have the bracelet. You're working with wires. Electricians like to have multiple points of failure before an accident actually happens. So a full bracelet steel watch is not ideal if you're an electrician. According to my friend, the Air Force actually did not care what watch he had, but the Navy did. They would want him to switch to a G-Shock. If you're actually serving, I'm sure you have much more knowledge about this stuff than a civilian like me. I just thought I would share that with the other civilians. This interesting nuance. So that was the philosophy. In a nutshell, you want rugged, reliable, cheap, lightweight, and not reflective. Now on to the methodology. Alright, to make things more objective, I developed a scoring system to rate the watches within the price categories. Bottom line up front is that features of the watch, the timers, the alarms, all that stuff, that's good, but size and weight are hugely important too. It's a balance. It'd be great if you could just have both. If you could have a reasonable size watch that also had a ton of features. You can use the features, not use the features, but they're there if you want them. That's probably the best. As long as you don't have random alarms going off when you don't want to. But in this one, I'm going to presume that whatever watch you have, you're going to know how to use it, and you're going to be able to tell if it has alarms set and stuff. And you're not going to be having random alarms go off when you don't want them to. But the scoring system is a balance. It rewards things that are exceptional in a lot of different ways. And the results of the scoring system totally match expectations as well. The well-known watches, G-Shock, perform really well. There are a few surprises, both good and bad. There's some surprisingly good watches that you probably haven't heard of. And there's some ones everyone thinks are awesome that really don't score well. And you'll see that. My detailed overview of the scoring system was covered in the previous video I released last week. So if you want to know all the nuance of the scoring system, go there. I'm not going to replay it right now, but there's a link in the description if you really want all the details, the bonuses and the penalties used in the scorecards, what they all mean. That'll be in the description. I'll try to walk through a little bit as the video goes on. I'll point out things like, oh, that got a -6 because whatever, because the loom sucks or whatever. I'll try to explain some of it, but if you really want to understand the scoring system, you'll need that other video. I think that's all the preamble, and we can dive into the watches now. All right, let's take a look at the watches under $155. In this price category, under $155, this is how all the scores shook out. Green is A's and B's, and that's 29% of the watches in this price category. There's only 75 watches. And then OK grades, C+, and C, that's another like 28%. The biggest chunk in this category, under $155, is in the not passing, the bad grades, C- and lower. My cutoff for recommendation is a score of 73. So there's 43% of these that on their stock strap, they are not recommended by me. Let's see here. There's one A grade, one A-, and then 7 B+. So we're going to start somewhere in the B+ and go on down. And then at the end, I'll show you the top 5. And dive right in with number 6. Sixth place is the Casio SGW 100-1V. $70. 47.6 across, 13.2 thick. It's not the biggest Casio you'll ever find, but it is pretty big. 200 meters water resistance, heck yeah. There's no crown on it. I didn't give this one credit for pusher guards because you see it kind of, the buttons are still going to be easily pushable on accident. I suppose you can make the case these are pusher guards. I think you need a little more here. It's got that recessed crystal, which Casio's so great about doing. This is a fantastic module they have in here. It does so many different things. You've got the compass here. You can see you still have the time on with the compass and the temperature. And yeah, temperature, while it's on your wrist, is always going to get messed up. But you can take that thing off. We went glamping over the weekend, and I used my temperature one to be able to tell how cold it was at night. It was pretty cool to be able to do. Field vibe, I don't think is very high on this. And where it says field vibe throughout the video, it should say military vibe, not field vibe, because that's what I was going for. It's military vibe, as I covered in the scoring system. I just gave it 6 out of 10. I think it's suitable for military. It doesn't quite get the look. That is one problem with this one, but it does have a lot of cool features on it. Just regular quartz. It's not atomic or anything. It's only $70. Let's look at that backlight. This is apparently what the backlight looks like on this watch. Pretty darn decent. Total score of 88. In 7th place is the Casio fishing timer, the one I have on my wrist. Only $22. They have some other colors. This is more of like a hiking color, the green one. You can get black or blue. $22, 45.3, so it is big. It's got wrist presence. I think guys usually want that actually with these types of watches. 14 thick, it is kind of on the thicker side. 100 meters water resistance. So for your $22, you get a lot. Unlike that F91W, you actually get 100 meters water resistance. And even though it's got that fishing thing very prominently, and you may never want to use the fishing thing, it's just packed with features. If you set that aside for a second, it's got the moon phase. It has awesome dual time. It has programmed zones in it. So I'm easily able to just navigate here. I have on here right now Paris time and my local time, easily able to be seen on the same screen. That's wonderful. That's the way to do it. It doesn't quite get the military thing down. It's maybe a little bit off looks-wise. Let me show you the backlight. Backlight is good. You can easily see everything at night. You even see the fish thing and the moon phase. It's got all your alarms and stopwatches you want. It even tells you when the sun's gonna rise. That's pretty useful. Sunrise, sunset. So it's got a ton of features. The strap, unfortunately, is pretty darn unwearable. That is a major downside with this one. I bought an extremely cheap nylon strap. Feels great. Looks a little bit weird because of the way they do the lugs here. It's kind of narrow. I think this is a good option, especially if you're budget minded and you can pick up nylon straps for super cheap, like $5 or something. You can get really, really cheap straps from AliExpress. And that's what I'd recommend doing with this one. Score of 88. 8th place is the Timex Expedition Cat. Chronograph, what does this stand for? They don't say on it. I can't remember what the A is. Chronograph, timer. I don't know what the A is. I'm sorry, I forgot. It's early in the morning. I should probably film when I'm more alert. I gotta film when I can, so I'm doing it early in the morning. But yeah, people love this darn watch. Someone said this should have been in your top 5 under 40. And yes, you can get this for like $39 from Amazon. You can get it so cheap. The backlight is fantastic. It actually has a little compass up here. You can't see it at the top, but it has a clip-on compass that comes with it. I gave that credit, clip compass. It looks really good. It's not huge. Only 41, only 12 thick. So if you're just looking for a basic timer, this one's awesome. You haven't seen the top 5. I know you have to wait for the top 5. Those are the best ones. This is a nice one as well. There's a Timex that is in the top 5. This is a good option though, only $57. And these blue seals mean they will be in the final runoff. Since this is a smaller population, there's only 3 price categories. I did like 8 from each one. I think the mid-range I did 9 or so. The top 9 end up in the final runoff. That was the 8th place. 9th place is the Casio G-Shock DW9052 V-1. $75, 43 millimeters across, 14.7 thick. So getting pretty thick. These pusher guards, I gave it credit. Those are fantastic. They totally cover the pushers. So you're not going to be pushing those pushers unless you want to. That's what you want. I don't know what all this jazz is here. This one does have spring bars, which can fail. It doesn't have screw bars, but I think it's cool. This particular one has a leather strap, which hurts it a little bit. Definitely would have scored higher if it had a different type of a strap. This one has a vibration alarm, which gives it a bonus over just regular alarms, because you don't always want to wake people up with your alarms. Sometimes it's nice just to have the vibe alarm. So this one has that. Backlight is fantastic on this watch. Looks really, really good. There's another popular option I've seen listed, like when people are polled, what do they actually have? This is a popular choice, and I can see why. It's a great military watch. Score of 87. All right, here's one of those oddballs that you probably haven't heard of. The 511 Division Digital. It's $110, 44 millimeters across, 15 thick. I'll be honest, the display does not look all that great. It does come on a Zulu strap. That's really nice to have. That's, a pass through. It just goes underneath, a single pass. The only backlight shot I could find was this one. It looks good though. I think it'll be good. It is 110, so more than G-Shocks, but you get a steel watch, PVD steel. If you prefer steel, this is the highest rated steel watch I have in this price category. And you can show an alternate time. I don't really give it any bonus for that, but you do have the ability to show an alternate time. That means you have to navigate to a different screen to see your dual time. I don't consider that to be true dual time. Yeah, you've got your date up here. Perpetual calendar. Score of 86. All right, the famous Casio G-Shock GW6900. $140, 50. These things are huge. They seem like they could be a normal size, but they're 50 millimeters, 17.7 thick. So this is a huge one. It's got gigantic wrist presence. 200 meters. Oh yeah. No crown on this. Good pusher guards. You're not going to push these pushers accidentally. This one has multi-band 6. It's atomic timekeeping. It is solar as well, so you don't have to worry about those battery changes. Very cool look. These things have been taken to space. NASA astronauts like this one. They have one that says NASA on it, I believe. Yeah, black, brown, gray. I think the gray one is a NASA one. It does get penalized for its huge size. Otherwise, this probably would have been in the top 5. See, -8 for this gigantic diameter and thickness. Yeah, I forgot to mention, minimal profile. You don't want it interfering with your equipment and stuff, whatever stuff you guys have. I don't know. You don't want the watch to be too big, and this one probably is too big. Backlight looks really good on this one. Very recessed crystal, so you're not going to damage that crystal. It's probably why it's so thick. They just put a ton of plastic to protect the crystal. That's good. Probably a trade-off you're willing to make. Although they do have recessed ones that aren't quite so thick. This one's definitely popular for a reason. This is one of the wild cards. It's got this little medal anytime. It's a wild card. So it'll be in the final runoff. Have a chance at the top 10. Score of 85. 12th place is the Casio DW290-1V. Famous Mission Impossible watch worn by Tom Cruise. $55 only. 46.8. It's very big. 14.3. Smaller than that last one though. Much smaller. No pusher guards whatsoever. These pushers stick way out. That's one difference between this and the last one. Pretty nice display here. You've got all the stuff you really want. The backlight looks fantastic on this thing. I've chosen it as a wild card. I think it deserves a chance at the top 10. It's regular quartz, no atomic quartz, nothing like that. But I know people really like this one. Score of 84. This is an interesting one. 13th place, the Marathon Adanac watch, GPD. I think the D is for digital. $60, 48 across, 15 thick. I don't think Marathon makes this particular watch anymore, but you can still find them on eBay. Very affordable. It's a nice alternative to these other ones. The strap is very wide, which will be comfortable. The wider the strap, usually the more comfortable it is because it distributes the weight more evenly. It does have a steel case to it. That's something else. So it is heavier than like the G-Shocks and stuff. Backlight looks really good on this. Yeah, it's a cool offering from Marathon. I don't know why they stopped making them, but you can still get them, like I said. Total score of 82. 14th place is the Casio G-Shock GD350-8. $77, 53.4. This is a massive, massive watch. 18 thick. That's what I mean. They really get thick. I really like how it looks though. I like the green here. And your timer clearly goes up to 20 hours and 53, 59. Goes up to at least 21 hours. This one does have the vibration alarm. So if you're looking for a vibration alarm watch, this is one of the ones that has it. Backlight is so good. That looks really, really cool. I do like when they have the button for the backlight right there in the middle. That seems a lot more intuitive to me than it's one of these random 4 and you have to remember. If you're in the military, you probably just have the one watch that you're wearing. I change up watches all the time and I'm in the dark. I'm like, where is the light button? And I have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it, depending on the watch I have. Yeah, this is a cool one. Score of 81. 15th place is the KHS Inceptor Digital. $147, 46 millimeters across, 13 thick. So totally reasonable size. Pushers stick way, way out. I really like the dial layout. They made the numbers really big. They don't have a ton of marketing on it. It's very simple. Seems like it'll do the job. PVD, physical vapor deposition, coated steel case. That's nice. Backlight is going to be good. That'll serve you just fine. They even tell you which one's the month and which one's the date. Hey, why not? That's nice. Looks like you can have the hourly chime if you actually like that. If you're one of the people that love that. I know some people do. They love the hourly chime. This will be a wild card as well for the final runoff. Nice that it comes on a NATO strap. Score of 81. 16th place is the Nixon Staple. This is the positive display model. They have negative display ones as well. $125. It's a bit much. 39 across. It's actually wider than it is tall. And it is only 8 millimeters thick. Very thin, very minimal. It's something a little different. It does cost a lot, but Casio alternatives often do cost more. I think they market this as like a surfing watch or something like that. It's kind of bare bones here, just the perpetual calendar, alarm, stopwatch, timer. That's all you've got with this one. Couldn't find a backlight picture for this one. It's hard to find backlight pictures for the Nixons. I don't know why that is. But Nixon makes a bunch of cool digital watches, and this is one of them. Score of 81. The next one is also a Nixon. 17th place is the Nixon Ripper. $85, cheaper than the last one. Looking a little bit cheaper. The display doesn't look quite as good. Only 36.5 millimeters and 11 thick. Just really basic like that last one. This one actually you only get the date. Although where's the date? Apparently there is a date function on here. It says Friday. I don't know exactly how that works. This says that it's a steel case. So, is that right? Apparently steel case. Cool. This one I could find a backlight for. There you go. It's green, apparently. And you can get an orange version. So this backlight pick has the orange version. Score of 81. Another Nixon in 18th place is the Nixon Heat. $150. 38 across, 36 tall, 8 millimeters thick. So Nixon is making much thinner watches than the Casios. That's nice. That is one downside of the Casio watches, is they tend to be overly thick, in my opinion. This does get the negative display penalty. Better to have a positive display. Those are easier to read. Stopwatch timer. No alarm, apparently, on this. So definitely check the listings. I could have made some mistakes and stuff, so definitely check. But according to this, there's no alarm. Date is plain as day right there, and the time, humongous seconds, which is nice. Second is a very useful complication to have, so it's nice when it's prominent. Couldn't find a backlight picture. This one will be a wild card. I think this is probably the Nixon. I want to do one of these cheaper Nixons in the end. Well, it's $150 still. But anyway, it'll be a wild card. We'll see it later. Doesn't really give much of a military vibe either. I only gave it 4 out of 10 for military looks. Score of 80. In 19th place, and yes, this was in the top 5, under $40. Sunroad 715A, $28, 50 millimeters across and 11 thick. And it actually has an altimeter barometer compass on it. And temperature. You get your temperature as well. I think that's on the screen. No, it's not. Where else can you get an ABC watch other than China for this cheap? Major downside, only 30 meters water resistance. They do have screw bars for that strap. That's more robust. You do get the fish thing, just like the fishing timer. It'll tell you what times are good for getting fish. That's based on the moon phase. The general principle behind that is that when the moon is out all night, the fish eat at night, and they're not hungry in the morning. When you have a new moon, fish spend all night hungry, and then in the morning, they're ready to go. Stuff like that. They've been able to prove like what times in the lunar cycle fish are the most active. And so that'll tell you. Sunroad makes a bunch of different watches, and it's very hard to find out the information about what the model numbers are, where you can get them. It is a dumb watch. There's no connectivity, so might be worth taking a chance on. Oh, let's see if the backlight. Yeah, here's the backlight. Backlight looks okay, I guess. You can see how hot it is. It's 20 degrees Celsius. Score 79. Fifth place is the Timex Expedition Atlantis. Very cheap, only 33 bucks. 40 millimeters across, 11 thick. Thank you, Timex. That is a great size. It's fantastic. It's not going to interfere with any of your equipment. It's just a normal watch size. It's great to see these digital watches sometimes being a normal size. 100 meters water resistance. Oh, chrono alarm timer. Okay, so CAT stands for chrono alarm timer. That other one I called CAT. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't have the model designations. That would have been more useful. But if you look for the Atlantis, I think you'll find this one. Backlight is green. That looks good. Full day and date. Yeah, this is a great choice. Score 79. 21st place, the Rockwell Coliseum Fit. 130 bucks. 49 across, 14 and a half thick. Very, very wide. This one has steps. This one will count your steps for you. It has a pacer too, so if you know your stride and you know your steps, it can tell you like how long it'll take to go a certain distance or how much distance you've probably gone. That's pretty cool. Yeah, see they have kilometers, miles, this kind of stuff down here. Chime, you can have your chime if you like. Couldn't find a backlight pick. I don't think it looks very military, so I gave it 4 out of 10 for that. More of a fitness look to it. You do get dual time display, that's pretty nice. Don't know much about this brand, but their watch looks pretty cool. Score 79. 22nd is the Timex Expedition WS4 Grid Shock. 89 bucks. 50 across. Only 38 tall though, so it's kind of a rectangle. 15 millimeters thick. And here's your Indiglo pusher. It looks like a crown, but it's not a crown. It's a pusher for the Indiglo. Let's look at the Indiglo. Looks really good. The backlight on this one is very nice. And they do have it in positive display, which I probably should have put on here. That would have gotten it a couple more points, actually. So I should have shown you the positive display. That's all right. It's kind of an oddball. It's kind of a futuristic look to it. This one also does have the vibration alarm. See on the dial, vibe. Combo, you can do both. Vibration and tone. That's pretty cool. Total score of 79. 23rd place is the Loris R2329P X9. This 3 needs to be deleted. It's 33 bucks, 42 across, only 12 thick. And yeah, a viewer, Johan, said he's had this model and that it's really good. Couldn't find a backlight pick. He said it's blue though. Only 33 bucks. If you can find the darn thing, I think that's pretty cool. Seems like a good option. Very light. Total score 79. 24th place is the Timex TW5 M26700. $59, 47 across, by 47, it's a square, 15 thick. Nice recessed crystal. The backlight is going to be really good. Yeah, this is going to be a wild card. They make them in some cool colors. I like the white one. Looks really futuristic. It is crazy thick though, very big watch. You got to be in for that. 200 meters water resistance, that's nice. Total score 78. 25th, another Chinese watch, is the Spovan Travel Compass watch. 75 bucks, 45 and a half across, 13.7. Looking very generic. Screen is looking very similar to the Casio Pro Trek type watches. You get your altimeter, barometer, compass. Only 50 meters water resistance, unfortunately. It does have a lot of features on it. This one actually does your steps as well. It has a pacer. It's pretty nice. Decent size. I worry about the build quality though. It looks pretty cheap. Couldn't find a backlight picture for it. And the crystal is not recessed on this one. Score 78. 26th place is the Loris R2371PX9. $41, 40 millimeters across, 15 thick. A little more expensive than that other Loris. I think this one looks a little bit cooler though. It is very thick. 15 is strangely thick. Doesn't really have any more features than that last one. Yeah, same features as that last Loris. Couldn't find a backlight picture of it. Seems decent. I guess it's a nice alternative if you don't want a Casio. Score 78. 27th is the Timex Ironman T300. 99 bucks, 40.7, 11 thick. You can really tell the steps here. That's a huge feature of it. It's kind of pixelated display, looks a little bit odd to me. Yeah, these icons here are just kind of confusing. It's sort of like BlackBerry or something. You've got these weird symbols you have to try to decipher. Couldn't find a backlight picture for this one either. There's a lot of T300 models, so when you go looking for pictures of them, you end up getting older versions of this that are slightly different. So that was a challenge. Comes on a silicone strap. If you want to change it, it's going to look weird because this one has these little wings to make it more streamlined. Total score 77. 28th place, still in a passing grade, no longer a good grade, but a passing grade, is the Rip Curl Atom, $110, 40 millimeters, 12.5 thick. Decent size. I think it actually looks pretty cool. This octagon shape looks pretty cool. Also could not find a backlight of this one. It's hard to find backlights for these cheaper digital watches. The crystal's not recessed. You can show an alternate time. You see this is T1. You can show T2 on a different screen if you press a button. They have a black one as well. Total score of 77. 29th place, the Casio AE 1600H. $36, under 40 bucks. It's big though, 49.7, 15.9 thick. It's much bigger. If you can handle the size, I think this is a much better option than the F91W. That one's gonna be way down the list. Spoiler alert. The Casio F91W doesn't score very well on the scoring system. I love how big the numbers are. The display seems really, really good. Backlight is totally decent. I think they have the looks down. Yeah, I think this is a good option. Really cheap watch and a good option for military service. Score 77. 30th place is the Nixon Siren. Another Nixon. It's got that octagonal shape. $125. Again, Nixon charging more. 38 millimeters across, 10 millimeters thick. They do make a much thinner watch. So this is going to wear a lot better than like that Casio we just looked at. The Casio has so much more personality though. These Nixons are just kind of bland. This one does give you tide information, so that's pretty cool. It's nice to know when the tide's coming or going. It's a small bonus. It's like 1 point for that tide information, but if it's important to you, then you're going to want to watch with that tide information. Could not find a backlight picture for this one either. Yeah, the reason to go for the Nixons is the thickness. If you really want a thin one, get a Nixon because they are a lot thinner than Casios, Loris's, that sort of thing. Timex also does a good job with the thickness. Total score 77. In 31st place is the Bertucci Construction King. I think this is our first just straight up analog watch. $135, 40 millimeters across, 15 thick. These are super robust. I have a Bertucci and they really over-engineer their watches to be totally rugged. You've got your crown guards and your screw-down crown. You have welded lugs. What did I call? Fixed lugs? Welded, fixed, whatever. That lug bar does not come off. You have to use a pass-through strap. Here they show it with their really thin, I forget what they call this thing. It looks really comfortable. You get the rubber bezel cover. You can take that thing off if you don't like it. But, it takes away the reflectiveness of the watch and it protects it from blows. If you scuff this thing up, you can just replace it. Lume is a weak spot on Bertucci's. They just give you these tiny little plots. This one at least does have a little different thing at the 12 o'clock, so that's good for orientation. But you're not going to impress anybody with your Lume here. Quartz watch, so it's very robust. There are analog-only watches that score higher than this in the higher price ranges, but it is nice to have the extra features of a digital watch, to have the alarms and the timers and stuff. If you're old school, Bertucci is a great option. They make a really solid watch. Score 76. 32nd place is the North Edge Tank 3. $64, 44 across, 13 millimeters thick. I don't know why they have the 24-hour scale here. I don't know what that does for you on a digital watch. The Chinese digital watches all seem to have lower water resistance ratings, and that's one thing that really holds them back. I think you want high water resistance. I think you want 100 or 200. Yeah, it's got a pacer, it's got your steps. It does not have ABC capability. It's just kind of a basic watch. North Edge does offer fancier watches. Backlight, this pixelated image looks pretty good. Looks like decent backlight. Total score 75. 33rd place is the Casio W219H. 23 bucks, 47.1 and 13.9 thick. So they're still big. This is still a big one. It seems like it'd be a smaller one, but it's not. It's still really big. It does have a recessed crystal. That's really nice. The backlight actually looks pretty cool on this one. They do have a lot of colors of this. Fabric strap is nice. I prefer that over silicone every single day. I'm not a silicone guy. My skin's a little sensitive, so I like something that's more breathable. It's nice that it comes with that. Total score is 75. 34th place, the famous Casio Royale. 30 bucks, only 30 bucks. 42 across, 12.5. 42 is not crazy, but it's a 42 square. And actually 42 one way, but then 45 the other. Is that correct? They're not tiny watches. I think you're still going to have good wrist presence with this. It's so cool how they have the world map. You can have 2 times. You can have this analog display be one thing, and then this down here be another. And the digital time is going to match whatever's here. The world map is showing you. I think it would have been nice if both of these were digital displays. I think that would be easier to read. Because is your local time going to be this thing? It's easier to cycle through the world map. So this is probably going to be your local time and then this away. And this isn't that easy to read. So that's a downside to this one. Very cool watch though. I love these modules with the world time with the program zones. Backlight looks cool on this. You even get backlight behind that world map. And people do all kinds of mods to these. You can change up the color of the film. You can do lots of cool stuff with this watch. Total score is 74. 35th place is the Nixon Base Tide. 150 bucks, 42 across, 16 thick. If you want a Tide watch, I think this one's cooler because you always see that Tide display right on the front. Other than that other Nixon where it was a little bit more subtle, this one looks cooler with how they do the Tide. It also includes sunrise, sunset data. Very thick though. Here's a picture of that backlight. It looks a little weak, but whoever took the picture left all the lights on, so you can't totally tell what it's going to look like in the dark. Nixon's doing something different, and I like the looks of it. They're doing something cool here. A lot more money than Casio, so that's a downside. But if you have the money to spend, and you really like digital watches, maybe consider getting a Nixon, because they do offer something different than what Casio has. Total score is 74. All right, 36th place. Our first GPS watch, our first kind of smart watch, the Cosbet Tank X2 Ultra. 100 bucks, 34 millimeters this way, but then 52 this way. It's only 14 millimeters thick. You get a lot of stuff on here. It has a true GPS. You can show maps on this. I think a map on a watch is going to be kind of silly. Maybe a little bit hard to read. But you do have that with this one. I haven't actually tried one, so that's all speculation. You see there are some metal elements. I still call it a fiber poly case because the majority of the watch case, the case itself is fiber reinforced polymer. They just have some metal kind of stuck on the top of it. So that's important that I get the weight right because the weight is based on the case material. You might weigh it slightly more because of the metal elements or something, but yeah, that's the standard I use throughout this whole thing. Downside, like with all these darn smartwatches, is the charging. Have to charge it every couple days, every day maybe even. That's kind of annoying. I'm not a fan of that. You just get used to it though. I had a smartwatch for a couple of years and it wasn't a huge deal, but like if you're through hiking or backpacking or something for a week, you don't want your watch to die. You don't want to have to bring some big battery pack to charge your watch. So solar is definitely preferable. This actually checks your pulse oxygenation level, does your steps, has a heart rate sensor. You can see it right on the dial. And then with that AMOLED display, it's going to look great in the dark. Cool option. Only 100 bucks. Total score 74. 37th place is the MTAC Tactical Compass Watch 2095. Only 25 bucks, 46 millimeters across, 14 millimeters thick. Despite what it looks like, there's no ABC. There is a compass though. You do get a compass. You don't get altimeter or barometer, but you do get the compass. I don't know why they have the scale on here. I guess just to kind of give it a little more character. Oh, the seconds count down here. You have these little triangles. So that is kind of cool. I do like that they have the scale on there. According to the score sheet, there's no timer on it, only a stopwatch. So that's a little odd. Backlight looks decent on this watch. Only 50 meters water resistance. Score 74. 38th place is the Timex Digital Command Urban. TW2U56400. $79, 47 across by 42.7, and it's 11 millimeters thick. I don't know what they're doing with this weird like pencil thing. The display looks totally bizarre. It only shows you one time at a time. So time in New York is this. I think you have to press different buttons to get different times to show. It's an interesting option, looks a little bit different. Backlight looks like this, a little bit weird. It does have a vibration alarm, which is pretty cool. Total score is 74. 39th place, the first Skame 1358. $34 only. 53 wide, 17 thick. It's humongous. Only has 30 meters water resistance. Other than that, it's great. It's got all kinds of cool features on it. It does your steps. It has ABC temp. It's just so darn huge and has poor water resistance. So that's the reason not to get a Skame. Backlight will probably be good. Score 74. 40th place is the Alba Active, and $64, 44.5 across, 12.6 thick. It looks like a fitness watch. The looks are not what you want in the military, I don't think. It's dorky, and I don't really get this one. I couldn't find a backlight picture. It's all right. It'll work. I still give it a passing grade. I think it's still fit for service, but not a very high score. Score 74. 41st place, another nice analog option is the Bowdairy Voyager Titanium Field. It's $97, 40 millimeters across, 12 millimeters thick. And I already realized there's an omission here. They make this thing with tritium. This is not the tritium version. I should have put the tritium one on here. I apologize for that. It has a titanium case. Very similar looks to Bertucci. I really like what Bowdairy does here with the military time and the minutes. Lumen's great on this. Look at that lume. Yeah, all this stuff has lume. That's really nice. Even the counterbalance of the second has lume. And they do have other colors. I don't know why I only have black here. There are a ton of other colors on this watch. Comes on the NATO strap. Has a recessed sapphire crystal. It's a great option. Score 73. 42nd place is the Loris Lumibright. $67, 37 across, only 9 millimeters thick. Get your day date, you get your military time. You get unbelievably cool lume on this thing. Crown guards. Unfortunately, it does have a push-pull crown. Good water resistance. And I love the black hands on the light dial. If you're gonna have a light dial, I love having black hands. And when you have full lume, there's no reason not to do it. So I'm glad they did it that way. Strap looks like it's really poor quality, unfortunately. But it's a cool watch, and you can always change the strap. Total score of 73. 43rd place is the Casio Forester. It's $36, 42 across, 12.6 thick. And there's no lume on here, but you don't need lume because you have a light. Press the button for the light, and the whole thing lights up. So that'll be good. It's not very elegant. It's not like a backlight. It's really just like an LED light that just shines on everything. But it's just a basic watch. If you're old school, this is a good choice. Be lightweight, very simple. Keep it simple, stupid. This one fits that maxim. Good wearing size. Yeah, this is a cool one, and only $36. We've got a few other colors that look pretty cool. Yeah, and one of the guys in my church, who's an electrician, has this one. He actually wears this watch, so maybe it's good for electricians. Score 73. In 44th place, the Bertucci DX3 Compass. $85, 40 millimeters, 11 millimeters thick. I actually don't recommend this, unfortunately. 50 meters push-pull crown. That's really holding it back. I mean, look, minus 13. If they could fix that, it would definitely be recommended. It should have a screw-down crown. It does come with this compass on it, the clip compass. That's pretty cool, but that doesn't save it. And technically, you can get a clip compass for any watch and just put it on the strap. That's a cool thing to do if you like having a compass. Score 72. 45th is the 511 Pathfinder. $95, 42 millimeters across, 10.8 thick. So great wearing size. It just has some limitations to it. Push-pull crown hurts it tremendously. Lume is really poor. You only get lume at the quadrants. It does have a recessed crystal, so the bezel rises up above the crystal to protect it. It's only slightly recessed, but it still counts. It's just lacking features that you would like. Close but no cigar. Total score 72. And you see it says do not recommend. There will be some that are recommended after this that you can swap the strap or whatever. But the vast majority of these ones from here on out are just not recommended for military service. And that's because they're better options that we saw previously. The Casios and such. All right, 46th place is the Sunroad FR935. It's 96 bucks, 50 millimeters across, 15 millimeters thick. It does have a heart rate sensor. You can see that right here with a little graph showing how your heart rate changed over time. That's pretty cool. It also has GPS on it. Just latitude and longitude. It doesn't have a map or anything. It also has altimeter, barometer, compass, temperature. So a ton of features on this Sunroad. They just didn't give it the water resistance it needs. And it's humongous. So, and you have to charge it like every day on this battery charger thing. That stuff really holds it back. I really think just a regular old Casio G-Shock is better than one of these smartwatch things that you have to charge every single day. That would be my preference. I couldn't find a backlight picture for this watch. Score 72. 47th place, 45th of the ones I can recommend is the Sanda SD 2198. Only $13. So cheap, so cheap. 47 millimeters across, 14 millimeters thick. Again, the water resistance issue hurts it. And then it actually doesn't have a ton of features, but it's only 13 bucks, so what do you expect? If it's just going to be bare bones, it should be solid, and this one really isn't. It's 50 meters plastic case. Here's the backlight. It'll probably glow from this upper corner and just kind of illuminate what you see there. And this stuff is all fake here. The guy running and the graph or whatever doesn't mean anything. It's just fake. Score 72. 48th place is the Skame 1418. 27 bucks. 46 across, 14 thick, 30 meters water resistance. Skame, gotta up that water resistance. Oh wait, it technically is recommended if you swap it off this strap. Yeah, it's got a resin band. If you put it on a pass-through or something, you can get the score up to recommended. I guess you can take it. Not the best option. Score 72. 49th place is the Ezon R7. Another smartwatch. This one has the control knob here. I don't know exactly what that does, but you can turn it to go through different menus or something. That's actually pretty cool. 140 bucks, 44 millimeters across, 13 millimeters thick. You've got all kinds of smartwatch functions here. Altimeter, barometer, latitude and longitude, so it has some GPS function here. I think that might be on here. You get your steps. You can have a pacer. You have a heart rate sensor on this thing. But yeah, you are going to have to charge it. And it doesn't really have the military vibe. It's kind of just generic. It's more of like a fitness vibe to it. If you're looking for one of these cheap smartwatch options, here's one of them. You want Chinese tracking everything you do, here you go. And I couldn't find a backlight picture. It has a memory and pixel display with a backlight. So it probably looks pretty good in the dark. Score 71. You can get that score up if you swap the strap off the silicone, put it on a pass-through or something. Get that score up a little bit. In 50th place, not recommended, is the Fitbit Charge 6. 110 bucks. Actually, these are pretty cheap, actually, the Fitbits. It's 23 millimeters this way, and then, what is it the other way? 36.7. So this is very small. It's for, like, little girls to wear, I think. 11.2 thick, so not very thick. It's really just kind of a fitness thing. You know, you have your pulse ox, you've got your heart rate sensor. It does have GPS on it, but as I mentioned earlier, you can't be using that in operational areas anyway, so you're just going to have the GPS off. Yeah, I don't think this is for going to war. Score 71. 51st place is the North Edge Apache 3. 70 bucks, 50 millimeters across, 15 millimeters thickness. It does have ABC and temperature. See right here, altimeter. They're showing you you're 186 meters, right at sea level. They've got that on there. And they have the compass as well. Awesome. Yeah, this is a better North Edge, but like the other ones, only 50 meters water resistance, and it's huge. It's huge and only has 50 meters water resistance. I think you can do better. You'll see better options for ABC watches in the higher price range, in the next price range up. Score 70, not recommended. 52nd is the California watch, Venice Beach. $60, so not too expensive, 37 across, 40 this way apparently, and 10 millimeters thick. Again, 50 meters. It's not what people want. Think you can do better. Have a lot of colors of this thing though. It does look pretty casual. Doesn't really look military to me, but you can get that one if you want to. Score 69. 53rd is the Casio MRW 200. $33, 44.6 across, 11.6 thick. Yeah, it's an elapsed bezel watch, just time only, but you get day date. There are better options, much better options. Luminox, ProTrek, better options than this one, but it's only $33. Still, I don't recommend it. Push-pull crown. There's no lume on this thing from what I could find. Score 69. 54th place is the Casio MTPS 120L. $145, 42 millimeters across, 10.9 thick. Bezel doesn't turn, it's just fixed. It's just a simple 3-hand watch. I mean, it'll work fine. It's not very good. You can do better. Score 68. 55th place is the Be Easy Digital. $17, that's all it costs. But it's 49 millimeters across, 13.8 thick. Again, it's a cheap Chinese watch. You can get better cheap Chinese watches. There's that one with the ABC functionality. You can do better than this one. Not recommended. Score 68. 56th place is the Amazfit BIP 3 Pro. $60, only $60. 36.5 this way. Only 9.7. But it's in rose gold. Tells you your fertility period. I don't think this is what you want to take to war. Not recommended. Score 68. This one actually looks pretty darn cool from the same company. 57th place is the AmazeTim Tank M2. A lot of cool stuff here on the dial. It's looking really cool. I have no idea what... Oh, this is your heart rate sensor, steps, alarms. On my scoring system, not doing so well. 50 meters water resistance. It actually is pretty darn large on the wrist. And you're going to have to charge that thing. I think there were some better options above. The Cosbit tank was better than this tank. Score 97. Another Chinese one looking just like the last one. The Carbinox Blaze. Trying to be like Luminox, but it's Carbinox. $140, 42 across, 13 thick. It's a low fidelity image, unfortunately. Hopefully the display doesn't look all pixelated like this one, but it might. Who knows? Who knows what you get when you get some Chinese watch like this. Does have a heart rate sensor, does have ABC. I think it's kind of flimsy though. 50 meters water resistance. You want more than 50. And it is going to be large on the wrist too. 49 this way. Total score 67. Now another dumb watch. 59th place is the Milfortic Field Watch. $81. 38 across, 8.6 thick. Great wearing size. It's not going to interfere with your kit or whatever. But it's just not anything to write home about. Does have a mecha quartz movement. That's pretty cool. Score 67. 60th place is the Miltato ML07. $43. 36 across, 10.1 thick. And these are cool. These are cool field watches. More like a traditional field watch. I don't think it's a modern military field watch that is going to be great for you. It's probably similar to like the Marathon GPQ or something, you know, which I also don't think is the best for modern military. It is going to be pretty light because it's not very big. It's only 36 millimeters. Kind of small. Again, a great traditional field watch. Not so great for modern military use. Score 67. We finally got to it. 61st place is the Casio F91W. $23, 35.2. It's tiny. It's a tiny little watch. I had one of these ones. Well, I had a similar one. I forget what it's called. The one with the EL backlight that costs the same. So why wouldn't you get the EL backlight? It's very thin, 8.5. Strap is just super cheap. Everything about this is cheap. But I showed earlier, you can get a better option. This one's $22, $1 cheaper. You've got all these cool functions on it, and it's got much higher water resistance. This has 100 meters water resistance. Why are you going to go with 30 meters water resistance? I don't get it. I don't get people's fascination with the F91W. I think it's a kid's watch. You know, for your kid, that's great. Not for a big man going to war. You can do better than the F91W, in my opinion. I really don't think it's worth all the hype for this one. But roast me if I'm wrong. Tell me what I don't understand about why the F91W is so great. Score 67, not recommended. All right, and the last watch I actually can recommend is the Technos Skydiver. It's 123 bucks, 40 millimeters across, 10.3. It's an analog digital and a digi. It does not have the seconds displayed. That's really unfortunate. It does have an elapsed bezel, and then you have alarms and stopwatches and stuff. You can show date down here. There's a lot of limitations to this one, and it's going to be heavy on that steel bracelet, which is why it's possible for me to recommend this if you swap out the strap, because there's a huge penalty for having the bracelet. It's not ideal for warfighting. I know some guys like it, and if you just like it, go for it. Just realize it's not the best tool for the job. You're making kind of a fashion choice when you wear a bracelet watch, in my opinion. Couldn't find a loom shot. There's the Technos, score 66. 63rd place is the Pile Ski Master. It's 80 bucks, 36 across, 13.5 thick. It's a reasonable size, and it is an ABC temperature watch. You get all those functions on there. Look, it says it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's kind of cool. But there are better ABC watches. This one only has 10 meters of water resistance. That's what they say. If it had 100 meters water resistance, it would definitely be recommended. But it has 10 meters water resistance. That's not what you want. Score 65. 64th place, the North Edge Evoke 2. A lot of stuff that I'm looking at here. Some of it makes sense, some of it does not. It's $42, 46 millimeters across, 14.2 thick. It has the 24-hour scale with a bicolor bezel to show you day-night, but there's no 24-hour hand on this. So what the heck is the point of that? It doesn't make sense. If they had a 24-hour hand on there, that would be super cool. It'd be really useful. You could have dual time. You could tell if it's night or day in an alternate time zone super easily. You could do cool things like use it as a compass easily, because it's much easier to use. You can technically use any watch as a compass, but it's a lot easier if you have the 24-hour hand. It is a solar watch. That's cool. And solar quartz movement is robust. It has a pedometer on here. So the way this pedometer works, base is 50 meters. So you start this thing at the beginning of the 50 meters, you stop it at the end of the 50 meters, and however many seconds has passed, that's your walking speed. So those are kind of cool. Not quite as good as like a pacer on a smartwatch would be, but it can still kind of give you your walking speed. Not recommended, score 65. Another Sanda, 65th place, the Sanda 6229. 12 bucks, very cheap, but you're lacking on protection. Only 50 meters water resistance. It's gigantic, 55 millimeters in diameter, 16 thick. It's just so crazy. If you really just want a humongous watch, then maybe this is the one for you. I think you want a watch that's not going to be too crazy size-wise. The size gets ridiculous at some point, and it becomes a huge penalty on my scoring system, which is what happened to this one. Score 64. 66th place is the Alba Active. Good luck trying to find this thing, but it exists in the market. You can theoretically purchase it. $64, 46.5 across, 12.6 thick. A lot of different features on this. Look, it tells you, wait, +7? It's Jakarta, a +7 time zone? It must be. So that's cool. Perpetual calendar. You only show one time at a time though. So you can only see the time in Jakarta. Then you can press this button to show the time in some other location. That's cool, but I prefer to see both times on the dial simultaneously. Leather strap definitely hurts it. You could change that. Still not going to get it up to recommend for me though on my scoring system. Score 66. 67th place is the SKG V9 Pro. Another smartwatch. This one's looking like the Apple Watch. It's 100 bucks. It's 37 this way, 44 this way. It's 12.9 thick. Size is not really an issue. You know, it's pretty reasonable, normal size for a watch. 10 meters water resistance though is totally unreasonable. That's not what you want for going to war. And you have to charge the darn thing. Not recommended. Score 64. 68th is the Skame 2095. 12 bucks, 51.5, 14.5 thick. So it is getting a pretty big penalty for the size. It's too big. Looks like it has a chime if you like chimes. Not recommended. Score 63. 69th place is the Bayonnaise military smartwatch. It's a smartwatch apparently. Well, you get steps. It's actually not a smartwatch even. And you do have to charge this darn thing. Okay, you can take calls on it. They show you can take a call. So it's a connected smartwatch, Bluetooth connectivity. GPS is a total lie. This map here, I gave it the penalty of fake map. Where is it? Fake map. So it got an extra penalty for lies in their advertising. This is just a static image. It doesn't change. It has nothing to do with anything. So that's really bad. Topograph. Yeah, there's no topograph on this. It has no idea about any of that stuff. It does have an ABC. It does have altimeter. It can tell you how high you are and stuff like that. It does your steps and stuff. 10 meters. It's so bad. It is also very huge. Not recommended. Score 62. Kind of a Timex alternative is the Naviforce NF7117. 16 bucks. These things are so cheap. But seriously, just save up to $22 and get a watch that's a lot better. This only has 50 meters water resistance. Sapphire crystal protrudes. 18 thick for... Why? Why is it 18 thick? Who knows? 49 millimeters across. This is not the one. Score 60. Final 5. 71st place is the Naval Watch MIL-01B US Force. Oh, US Force. 105 bucks, 38 millimeters across, 11.5 thick. Maybe it's a decent traditional field watch. Probably not. It's only 50 meters water resistance, push-pull crown. You can do better than this watch. You can do much better. I don't know why it says H3. There's no tritium on it. It's just normal illumination. Swiss movement. Ronda or something. This is not a good one. Don't recommend this one. Score 59. 72nd place, MDC Infantry. 23 bucks. Just get a Casio. It's 40 millimeters across, 11 thick. It's so bad. Don't get this thing. There are better watches of this style as well. I actually didn't include a ton of these like traditional field watch types. I just put a few of them in, but I will do that video next, the traditional field watch. This won't score well for that either because the 50 meters push-pull. It's not great. Score 59. 73rd is the Bernie E-Ink Square. It's not a square. What? 80 bucks, 33.5 by 55.5, and it's 9 millimeter square. Maybe they did that. It's like a tablet shape so that you can read a book on it or something. Maybe that's why it's such a weird shape. If it's like a more normal shape, I think it would score a little bit better. It's not getting a huge penalty for that. You know, there's no lume on it. There's no backlight. 30 meters water resistance, no crown. I would love an e-ink watch. Just the idea of it, you know, something that's like a Kindle is very appealing, that has extreme legibility. But let's be honest, you really need it because normal LCD displays, you can still read the time at pretty much any angle. It's not a huge concern. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. E-ink is a cool idea, but this is a bad implementation of that. Score 57. 74th is the Ezon T031. 50 bucks, 50 millimeters across, 15.3 thick. It's very big, it's plastic, not a great watch. You do have to charge the darn thing. Not great. It does have a pacer on it. Score 55. Last place, the worst military watch under 150 bucks is the Gustav Becker military watch. 103 bucks, 43 millimeters across, 14 thick. It does have a screw down crown. Really lacking. This is not what you want to take to war, in my opinion. Score of 52. All right, in 5th place is the Lad Weather Sensor Master 4. 48 bucks only, 50 millimeters across, and 15 millimeters thick. So it's a big one. It's a big watch for sure. You've got your 100 meters water resistance. You have really nice pusher guards. You see how these buttons are totally protected on the sides. That's awesome. You actually have a turning compass bezel. You can tell because it's not quite aligned. It's got northeast at the top. Really cool that you have a turning compass bezel on this thing. Tide graph. Moon phase. You got the moon phase right there. The date. There's a ton of stuff on the dial that's awesome. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a backlight pick for this watch. That's too bad. Hopefully the backlight's okay. I haven't heard of Lad Weather Sensor very much, but their watch looks really good. There's no ABC or anything, but it's solid in other ways. And it does have a recessed crystal. This bezel does go up beyond the crystal to protect it. That's awesome. It's a bit of an unusual one, not really what I was expecting to find. I think this is a good example of one of those sleepers. Something worth checking out, especially for only 48 bucks. All right, let's go to number 4. 4th place in my top 5 is the Timex Ironman Shock Endure. Sorry, I don't have the model number. Hopefully you can figure that out. It's 89 bucks, 42 across, only 11 thick. This is the most wearable of all the watches in the top 10. It's actually, there's a couple others. The top 2 are really good too, but this is a good size. It's a great size to wear. 200 meters water resistance. That's what I'm talking about. All the top 4 have 200 meters, but that's great to see from Timex. I like that they have buttons here on the face of it too. That's really cool. Everything is clearly labeled. I love that. They say exactly what they do. They don't say like adjust. Man, the adjust button drives me nuts on some of these watches. It's like, what does adjust do? Stop and then reset on this one. Like every one of these watches, I have to figure out the darn chronograph because they're all different. You know, I'm used to start stop at the top and then reset is down here, but start is here, then stop is there, and then reset's the same button. I don't know. I'd have to figure this thing out. That's the challenge I have with digital watches is they don't have a convention. Makes sense. All right, let's take a look at the backlight. Backlight is serviceable. That's okay. It is a negative display watch. That costs it a couple points. Otherwise, it'd be higher up in this top 5. I really hope there isn't a positive display version of this, because if there is, I should have put that one in the competition because it would have done better. If there is, maybe opt for that one because you'll have clearer display. But yeah, a lot of people swear by their Timex Ironmans. This appears to be the best one. Great military watch. Score of 88. In third place, one I've heard is actually issued to people, is the Casio G-Shock Mudman G9000. 110 bucks. Yes, it's huge. 46.3. I mean, not crazy. It's not 50. There's certainly bigger G-Shocks, but 16.3 is very thick. I think a lot of it is all this plastic here around the outside. They really recessed that crystal, which will protect it. So it's got great protection. 38 out of 40 protection points. The resin case just doesn't have as high tensile strength as steel, for example. So that's probably where it lost a few of the points there. But then it gains it in the weight because resin is super light. And like I mentioned in the beginning, on Navy ships apparently sometimes you can't have the metal case, so resin may be superior for that. Really cool retro looking design here. A lot of stuff going on here to look at. The loom is ridiculous. They even loom all the words on here. I don't think I've seen any other one of these do that. That is really slick. Yeah, that looks awesome in the dark. Got your 2 alarms, your stopwatch timer. Not anything really else, but the thing is, you don't always need the fanciest gizmos. I set up the scoring system to reward things like protection. Well, okay, protection had 40 points, utility had 40 points. I think this is passable utility. I think it has everything you're really going to need. Do you actually need the compass? I mean, compass would make this score go up a little bit, but at least in this price range, I think this is a fantastic option. It's my number 3, score of 89. And we haven't seen them all videos, so you know what's coming next. You know what's in the top 2 spots. Number 2 is the Casio G-Shock DW5600. 100 bucks. It's like 43 across. It's 13.4 thick. Yes, I had one of these. I actually didn't care for it all that much. I'm not as much of a digital watch guy. It was okay. I don't care for the strap, and I put it on metal, and the metal was really pinchy, and I hated it. I think if this thing was on a fabric strap, I'd be all about it. There's other options out there that come on a fabric strap. If you too don't like the resin strap on your wrist, maybe look elsewhere. There will be other good options that don't have a resin strap. But if you don't mind the resin, this is a great option. Very cool. Let's look at the backlight. Backlight is very good on the electroluminescent backlight. Oh, they tell you there in italics. Yeah, a classic for a reason. These look really cool. They're a wearable size. And, I mean, they've been used everywhere you can imagine. NASA astronauts use these things. Just really good watches, really affordable. Great option. And this is a 90, but there is one that's better, the number 1. And the number 1 is the Casio G-Shock GWM 5610. I don't know if you need the dash 1 or not, but it's there. 105 bucks. It's only $5 more than the 5600. But this one has atomic timekeeping. It has solar movement. It also has additional features on top of it. So I have no idea why you go for the 5600 when you can get the GWM 5610. This is the one to get for sure. Maybe you don't live near a radio transmitter that has multi-band atomic timekeeping. Maybe you're in the middle of nowhere, so maybe that would be a reason to get the 5600, I guess. But yeah, you do get programmed zones on this as well. You can show alternate time zones. Up here where the date is, they'll show you the alternate time. 2 times on one screen. If my G-Shock did that, I never would have let it go. That is so sweet. I'm really glad that this model does have that feature. That is a vast improvement over the DW5600. Backlight looks really good on this. This is the best entry-level military watch by far, the GWM 5610. It's got a much higher score than all the competition, and that's the way to go. All right, so those were my top 5. Those are the 5 best in my opinion. We can cycle through the slides a little bit. Some other cool highlights include the one on my wrist, only $22 for the fishing timer. This other Timex is really cool too. I also like the 9052, that looks really nice. You can get a compass watch, this price. Well, we saw it somewhere in this one. Where did we see? Yes, Bovan has ABC temp. You can get stuff like that. I think there was even a GPS watch. A ton of cool things. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get a really sweet watch. This 6900 would have done much better if it wasn't so darn huge. 50 millimeters. Same kind of idea as that 5610 that got first place, but this one's just unreasonably huge. And then of course the Mission Impossible watch, that's really sweet too. Yeah, a ton of cool options. I'd love to play around with some of these ones. Nice budget option here with the Casio AE 1600, only $36. I had a lot of fun with this, something a little bit different for me. Not necessarily in my normal wheelhouse, but it was a lot of fun. And if you've watched my channel before, you know, after I talk about the watches, I like to talk about the Bible. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's Bible time. All right, welcome to Bible time. I'm not a pastor or a trained biblical scholar. I just love sharing a passage of the Bible with people. And today I'm looking at Deuteronomy 31, when Moses is passing the torch to Joshua. And for the Bible time thing, I've got the military stuff up because it's a military watch review that I was doing. The passage is Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. A little background on the passage. At this point, Moses is 120 years old. He will not go with Israel over the Jordan because of disobeying God at the waters of Meribah. And a short explanation is he struck the rock instead of speaking to the rock as God commanded, spoiling the picture of Christ that God had set up. This is from Numbers 20, verses 10 through 13. He and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock?" So he's taking credit for it. Then Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice with the staff. Water gushed out, and the community and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sights of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I give them." These were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with God and where he was proved holy among them. So a lot more could be said about the waters of Meribah. I just wanted to briefly explain why God prohibited Moses from entering the promised land. He spoiled the picture. He was supposed to speak to the rock. And he took credit for it. Must we bring you water out of this rock? No, God brings the water out of the rock. But anyway, going back to the original passage where the word them is used, do not be afraid or terrified because of them. Who's the them? The passage is referring to the nations that are inhabiting the promised land, which Israel would have to later conquer to take possession of the land God promised them. So he's saying, don't be afraid of these other nations. In the passage, although it's delivered to God's people at a particular time, for a particular purpose, entering the promised land, it's also relevant to us today. In his commentary, Gill said, "This promise, though made to literal Israel, belongs to the spiritual Israel of God," i.e. born-again believers. And this is supported by Hebrews 13, verse 5 and 6. "Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, 'Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you.' So we say with confidence, 'The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?'" Paul was quoting Deuteronomy 31:6 and saying it still applied to God's people. And then in Romans 11, we learn that born-again believers in Christ have been grafted into the promises God made to the Israelites. Romans 11, verse 13 through 14. "I'm talking to you Gentiles. Inasmuch as I am the apostle to the Gentiles, I take pride in my ministry in the hope that I may somehow arouse my own people to envy and save some of them." So he's addressing it to the Gentiles. Then he goes on in Romans 11, 17 through 18 to say, "If some of the branches have been broken off, and you, though a wild olive shoot, a Gentile, have been grafted in among the others, and now share in the nourishing sap from the olive root, Do not consider yourself to be superior to those other branches. If you do, consider this: you have not supported the root, but the root supports you. So Paul was addressing the Gentiles and saying they've been grafted into the family of God, into Israel. There's more interesting wisdom in this passage, in all of these passages, but the takeaway that I'm bringing up here is that saved Gentiles, anyone who's not a Jew, have been enjoined to God's promises. Jesus describes the new covenant at the Last Supper. There's a new covenant. Luke 22, verse 19 and 20. And he took bread, gave thanks and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you. But the hand of him who is going to betray me is with mine on the table." So the cup is the new covenant. New covenant is the blood of Jesus. That's how we get in right relationship with God. And we have been grafted into all of that. But I wanted to explore some of the words in the Deuteronomy passage. I've got 5 words out of the passage I pulled out. First one is strong. It starts off by saying, be strong and courageous. So strong is Strong's. Strong's is, my wife asked me, what is Strong's? It's a concordance that translates the Hebrew words. And so you can find them in other spots and stuff. It just identifies what the original Hebrew and the Greek was in the Bible. But this is Strong's 2388, shazak. And it's a verb. It means to fasten upon, to be strong. And another passage where this word is used is 1 Samuel 17, verse 50. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, without a sword in his hand, as he struck down the Philistine and killed him. This is David and Goliath. And that word triumphed is also the word strong. There's lots of ways you can translate these types of words. Hebrew is not as specific, but be strong. Be strong like David against Goliath is the message there. Next word is courageous. Strong's 553. It's amatz. It's a verb. To be courageous, to be alert, brave, and strong. Apparently it's used 44 times in the Old Testament. Earlier in Deuteronomy 3, verse 28, God tells Moses to encourage and strengthen Joshua. That's where the courage comes in. But commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will lead this people across and will cause them to inherit the land that you will see. Moses was to encourage and make brave Joshua, because Joshua was going to lead Israel in the promised land. The next word I have is afraid. Do not be afraid. It's Strong's 6206, aratz, and it means, again another verb, and it means to be afraid, to tremble, to strike with dread. Joshua 1:9 explains why not to be afraid. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. It's almost identical to the Deuteronomy 31:6 passage. It's a parallel passage, actually. Next word I have is leave, and it's Strong's 7503. It's rapha. Rapha. It's a verb. It means to slacken or relax. So God will never leave us nor forsake us. Another passage where this is used is Psalm 138, verse 8. The Lord will vindicate me. Your love, Lord, endures forever. You do not abandon the works of your hands. So abandon. And this word, rapha, is often presented with the word hand. It evokes a picture of letting go of something out of your hands. And God will not let go of us. All right, the last word I wanted to look at, the Hebrew, is forsake. And it's Strong's 5800. The Hebrew is azav, means to loosen, relinquish, to leave. And a classic example of this is found in Genesis 2, verse 24. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. You live with your parents, you go away, you leave them. But God will never leave us. What a beautiful promise of God to Israel. And as I demonstrated earlier in the Hebrews passage, the promise was not just for that moment in history. It continues to the current body of Christ. We have been grafted in. All right, here's some other passages that are similar to Deuteronomy 31, have a similar message. In Isaiah was talking to Israel, and this is Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Another one, Matthew 28, verse 19 and 20. It's the Great Commission. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. John 14:16-18 says, "And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to help you." Jesus is talking to his disciples. "And be with you forever, the Spirit of truth. The world cannot accept him because it neither sees him nor knows him." The Holy Spirit is reserved for born-again believers in Christ. "But you know him, for he lives with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." God lives within us. He will not leave us. Romans 8, verses 38-39. "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord." Nothing can separate us from God. The point is that God is with us at all times. What a wonderful blessing. And that's all I've got on the passage. If you want additional biblical analysis, check out the 4 pastors I've linked in the description. They're all great. And now for a prayer. Lord, I thank you for your promises, for the new covenant of your blood. And Lord, I thank you for grafting in believers into your people, Israel. Please lead us in your path as we go about our lives and strengthen us for any battles that we may face. Pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace always and in every way. The Lord be with you all. See you next time.